Thank you. After Walter with his new tie and before lunch. What an agenda position, I don't know.
You've got the pearls.
I'll try to keep it exciting. So I want to talk about some of the things that we've done together and what we're going to be doing at Ovarian Cancer Canada and in partnership with you moving forward. So we have received funding from pharma companies, however it is unrestricted funding. And I hope that you'll be excited about learning about the current activities and how we're going to continue to work with GOC. So we have in the past had a good relationship for many years with GOC. Well, one of the things that we've done that we believe has had an amazing impact on the lives of women, because we all do have that common goal. We want women to live as long and as well as they possibly can when they get this disease. So since 2006, we've funded 37 grants to 27 students. Some students get more than one grant. And we have graduated into Gynecology in excess, I think, right now of 17 or 18 gynecologists in Canada. And when you extrapolate the number of women that they will impact in their career, the number of women they will see, it's literally tens of thousands of women. This is not insignificant. And it came from an idea that Barry Rosen brought to our board. It's a low-cost, high-impact solution to an HR problem. So we're delighted to have been part of that. We work together on patient information. You've advised us and participated in presenting webinars. Recently, we did one on recurrent cancer that had the highest attendance of any webinar we've ever done. And we archive those so people can listen to them later, and it's still continuing to be well used. We did have a partnership in your communities of practice funding, and we continue to be very interested in those activities and participate as we can, for example, in the BRCA Talk program. So where are we now? Well, we're looking forward to a new future. I loved your comment about Michael being drawn by the future and not pushed from the past. We're looking very closely right now at everything we do at Ovarian Cancer Canada and what are the things we do that can have a very key impact, a very focused impact on women's lives. Sometimes charities get caught up in doing things that people like them to do, but they may not be impactful. And we want to make sure that moving forward, our donor dollars are creating impact. So we've launched government relations, and I'll be talking a lot about that. And not so much, I'm not going to talk about it, but we are very excited that following a national focus group and needs assessment, we will be launching a patient online community in September. This is something Canadian women have told us they want. They've been participating in American ones, and we're very excited that they will have their own starting in September, Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month. So we have been very focused. You know, it took us a while to get a community built across Canada in every province, simply the outcome of the disease. We didn't have the breast cancer numbers, and it took a while for us to gather groups of women with voices, families who were ready to get involved. And why advocate? It's the natural next step. I mean, we look at the other charities that have had enormous impact. Breast cancer is always an example, of course, in our community. And awareness is low. Outcomes haven't changed. Few changes in treatment practice, and our community was ready for this. And I know I'm preaching to the converted when I tell you those were the issues. So in 2015, we launched in September Ovarian Cancer Month a Stomp the Pavement campaign. And this was a thunderclap Twitter campaign. We'd never done one before. And you have to, when you sign up for this campaign, say, we will get this many sign-ups or the campaign doesn't go forward. Well, we were a bit conservative, and we said, 500. That would be a lot. We've never done it before. People are private about their information. We got thousands of names participating in this. We knew we had a community that wanted to make a change. In 2016, in May, we took 20 volunteers and had 40 meetings with senators, MPs, and policymakers on Parliament Hill. We started a petition to the federal government to demand more research funding, and we've been very active in the Coalition for Genetic Fairness. And while we're thrilled that bill has passed, we're watching cautiously to see whether the Liberal government will challenge that in Supreme Court before it gets royal assent and becomes law. We also invited elected representatives in the governments provincially and federally across the country to attend our walk, and many showed up. And we were thrilled with the reception we got a year ago on Parliament Hill. And I will just say anecdotally, I knew in my first meeting with a member of the Standing Committee for the Status of Women when she said to me, ovarian cancer is one disease I'm not worried about because I have my PAP every 2 years. I thought, okay, this is a go. They need this information. Her chin dropped when I said, good for you for looking after your health. Unfortunately, that PAP is not going to protect you from ovarian cancer. In between those two campaigns, we launched our Lady Balls campaign, and we really took the country by surprise, I have to say. We had 60 million earned media impressions. We were in Maclean's magazine. Peter Mansbridge talked about us on the National. And 60 million earned media impressions translates to about $12 million of advertising. Obviously, we didn't spend that. This was the goodwill of people who also believed this was an important cause. And this campaign has now won 5 awards. 2 awards at Cannes last June, recently 2 CASIs, which are Canadian Marketing Awards, one in the Underdog Health Campaign, saying that we had taken an underdog cause and turned it upside down. And we just last week found out that we have won an Effie, which is another international marketing communication award, and we find out in June what color that award is. So this campaign actually changed our voice. Women were ready for this, and as we pilot and test our new messaging going forward, we're so interested to find, looking at a brochure we had, I have the lady balls to ask for help. And the hands went up in the room, and I thought, uh-oh, these women don't like the campaign. No, they said, ask for help. I have the lady balls to demand action. We have changed our voice, and it's about time. So that's the next phase of the Lady Balls / advocacy campaign. It's about time, and it's about time for more investment in research, and it's about time for better access to treatments as they come forward for women. So this is a campaign that's on our website. You can log on to our website, click, put in your postal code, and quickly write a letter. There's samples, you can cut and paste various paragraphs that will go directly to your MP. So we've partnered with GOC on this. Our package, when we go to Parliament Hill, actually has a letter from GOC supporting our activity. We've asked your advice on drugs, on what women need, what will help us all achieve our goal. And we've been working together because these are our common goals. We are happy to have clinicians and researchers joining us in these efforts on Parliament Hill. On Wednesday, we will be back there, and we actually will be having a reception, which I'll tell you about in a second. Why do we need research dollars? Again, this is preaching to the converted. You know the results that other cancers have seen. And we use the example of breast and prostate, not to pit one cancer against the other, but to say, look at the outcome difference. The research investment has been huge. It has to be related. And when we show those numbers, it's quite impactful. Our research ask is for an immediate investment of $10 million from the federal government. And we didn't just pull that number out of the hat. The number came from advice from the Canadian Ovarian Cancer Research Consortium. We said we would like to know the dollar amount that could show a difference in a short time, not 30 years, maybe 8 to 10 years. And so this $10 million is actually written up in a proposal that includes money for new models, money for clinical trials, and money for personalized and targeted therapies. New treatments, again, we need treatments, you know that. We have a high recurrence rate. Many women cease to respond positively as time goes on. Outcomes haven't changed, and there are new drugs available. They're just not becoming available quickly enough to the women who need them. So we're asking at the provincial level for governments to fund these drugs and to make them accessible as soon as possible. We're not picking on one. We're not being pushed by one pharma. We want to work with you to get the best advice on what drugs should be available. Currently, here are 2 examples of Aspirin and Lynparza. Our It's About Time campaign has the public relations media campaign. There'll be an op-ed in the Huffington Post this week for World Ovarian Cancer Day on May 8th. The digital campaign, which I showed you. And we also are focusing primarily on the treatment side with the provincial governments in BC, Ontario, Quebec, and of course on Parliament Hill for the research ask. Those provinces are our focus simply because our policy advisors have indicated those are the governments where change is right at this moment. But we do have trained advocates across the country going to see their MPPs and their MLAs weekly. So this is what's happening on Wednesday. We were pretty excited to see this formal. The speaker is hosting a reception with the Women's Caucus and ourselves. We'll have Barbara Vanderheiden speaking about research that day as well to the Conservative Caucus. And this will be a reception where we're not allowed to pitch our ask, but we can talk about the needs of the disease and the many gaps. The federal budget in 2019 is when we hope the money will come. We know that this isn't, they're not going to write a check on Wednesday for us. We know that. This is not a sprint, it's a marathon. And we're building the awareness, we're building the understanding of the huge gap for ovarian cancer, and our thinking is that that will be an election year, and it will just be the right time for them to write that check for us. So we'll continue to push every year until then. And so now for a lighter moment before I let you go to your lunch, Ovarian Cancer Canada is 20 years old. Our organization has changed a great deal in that time. From a little chair and a desk in the halls of CCO when I was first hired in 1997, and boxes surrounding me, we now have, as Katja mentioned, a national network of community advocates, of volunteers, and wonderful staff people and board members supporting the work we do. And the disease itself has changed in 20 years. You know so much more about it than you did before. And it's not uncommon for people to say to us, what are you going to do? It's not one disease. There are subtypes. What about fallopian tube cancer, primary peritoneal, and endometrioid? Ovarian Cancer Canada. That name is not going to work. And so, by a fluke of a typo in an internal document, we have the answer. I bring you Ovarian Cancer Canada. Thank you.